careers mode. And I figured this was a need that needed to be filled, and so that's why I came in to apply for this, and I'm ready to serve. So, anyway, I'm getting ready to retire, so I need something to do. Great.
All right, now I'm going to throw one more question. Let's think of a number between 1 and 10.
Between 1 and 10? How about 6?
Fine.
You got the right answer. I'm going back that way. I'm trying to figure out which way to flip back and forth. Just trying to keep things low, because if everybody gets to the same order, it's kind of, monotonous.
You can start.
Yell my name if I'm
You did. Yes, he had less. That's all right. I'm sorry. All right.
10 questions.
Well, we got a lot of questions. I'm just trying to keep them moving. Okay. Ms. Bayless, explain your understanding.
That curtain just so you know.
You got the right answer, by the way.
Major one.
Explain your understanding of the board's role with the budget preparation and approval.
Budget preparation and approval.
Yes.
So basically, the superintendent drafts the budget that they foresee that the school system will need, and they bring it to the board reviews it, and if there's any concerns that they have, they share it with the superintendent. The budget is usually you hold, I guess you just do it in this room. So usually they hold some meetings so the public can come in and share concerns, what have you. But I guess that would be part of your public comment here. And then once the board votes on the once you get the public comment, then the board votes on your budget, and if you get enough votes, your budget's approved. I mean, it's also based on, he can't ask for, Dr. Missel can't ask for a budget that the state's not going to cover. So, I mean, it has to all roll together. You have to make sure that you're going to get the amount of tax revenue in from your education funding, tax, local tax. You got to make sure you have enough federal grants or funding coming in for special education, et cetera. And then, obviously, wherever the state, has designated for your funding as well. And that hopefully with all of that included and with that compass, the budget that Dr. Missel proposes will include all of that. That's the whole thing.
Okay. Yes.
So this year when I decided that I was interested in running for school board, I started coming to the meetings and attending them. And I've been in budget meetings before, I've been involved in that process. It was definitely interesting realizing how the way the meetings mesh together. It's not just a school board meeting, it's a finance meeting, and it's a working session, such as we had tonight. And then finally, that board meeting, plus you've got things playing into that, like the recent vote we had to take on, the district had to take on the transportation. You have to approve the contract before you can know that this is going to be part of the budget. So through that, I was really able to see the process and start learning from that. Mr. Showbaker is the one who does the fun with the numbers. I used to be that person. So I still am in some ways. But he does the details, and then he's presenting it to the committee. And the committee's reviewing it and asking questions. Questions about contracts, questions about, how are we going to meet the monetary need. The big thing, one of the big last-minute things this year was the autism classroom and being able to meet that. So there's discussions occur there. It moves to the working session where the full group can have at least some conversation, but really then you go to the board meeting. But it does have to be approved by June. I think you see it as an extremely challenging thing because not only here are you deciding no one's giving you, well, I mean they are. You kind of get a number and know this is your number and you know a budget around this number, but then there's this, am I going to raise taxes to meet this number? what other ways can we make this number? What federal changes, what state changes do we have to be prepared for? And I think we all know, and we heard it today when we talked about the Pennsylvania budget that is still not approved, that there's a lot of, I'm not sure what's gonna happen right now. This is the federal level and this is the state level. And it directly impacts us, it directly impacts our citizens who are paying the school taxes and our children and their students. And I started to go down that hole and found a lot of things about Pennsylvania that I did not know, which is that, you know, as many of you probably know, there was a ruling a couple years ago that Pennsylvania is unconstitutionally funding its school systems. The district system, the district system is, I like it. I like the small areas versus the county system in Maryland, which is what I grew up with, for a lot of reasons. But what it means is you put so much on the backs of your families and your citizenry in terms of school taxes. I like knowing that it's going right there. But when you look at a community like ours that, you know, has a pretty decent percentage of disadvantaged families, higher property values because we're down by Maryland, but a lot of retirees, less income. And then you look at like an Exton or something that's sitting on right outside of Philly, how much are they collecting in school taxes? And they get to save that all for their kids. So, and we all love our kids and we want to direct it that way, but how do we make sure that every student in the state of Pennsylvania can get the education that they deserve? And if you go out, there's a website called PA Schools Work. We are underfunded by $3.5 million from the state. So I think there's another piece, and I just haven't maybe seen this, but it's how do we get involved and lobby and talk to people? Go up to Harrisburg, it's not that far of a drive. What can we go and do to say, no, this doesn't work, this is not right for our people? And how do we educate the people who live in this community so they understand what's going on? They see the posts on Facebook and stuff. Well, if you're going to raise taxes, I don't want you on my board. We're just going to have to cut stuff for these kids. But no, we want these kids to be successful. And it's not as simple as cutting fine arts or sports or whatever, because every student needs something else to be successful. And not every student that, for every student that doesn't always become academics. So it's a complex picture. It's enormous, but I think it's something that requires some kind of broader outside box thinking and discussions.
How can I follow that?
Sorry.
Unfortunately, Ed, you want me to reread the question then?
I understand. Basically, the board's position is to try to balance out the budget with the superintendent's list. He brings a list, and the board is responsible to line out some of the items. No limo for the superintendent this year, sorry. But on other boards that I've been in, there are committees that have to be put together so that they can address certain items on that list. And the board hears the committee's results and makes a determination on how they're going to spend that money that has been allotted to them, or they are responsible for, and try to provide the superintendent with the best possible school system they can provide.
No more commercial breaks. What do you see as the most important strength or weakness, and what do you see the most important strength and weakness of the Littlestown area school district?
The most important strength, based on my personal experience with the school district, is the people. It's the teachers, it's the coaches, it's the staff, it's the administration. I have only, in my time, had one interaction that I could walk away from and say, yeah, I don't really want to interact with that person again. All the others have been wonderful. All of them have had my children's best interest in heart. And my husband's a teacher too. He's a teacher down in Carroll County. He works at the Career and Tech School down there. He's on his 28th year, I guess, working in the county. And he he loves his students, and I've seen the time that takes, I've seen the toll it takes on your family. Because it is a toll when you're putting in those extra hours and the things you're doing, but I think the staff's amazing. And I haven't interacted with all the sports and coaches. I can say, you know, the fine arts department is one of the best teams I've had been able to deal with, to work with, and my kids have gone through marching band and chorus and musical theater as well. Mr. Lothal, Mr. Bish, Mr. Brady, all just amazing. They really care first and foremost for the student. I'm going to switch this a little bit from weakness to challenge. I like to think of weaknesses as challenges. It's just an opportunity to do something better. I think the financial piece is one of the biggest challenges. And kind of alongside that is communication. I think it's hard for parents to come to meetings at the time we have them. I mean, it's the time we have to have them. I'm not saying we should change that time at all. But it's that witching hour, like from around 5:30 or 6 o'clock till 8:30. You've got children from 0 to like 11. It's a crazy time. So being able to come here or to listen in can be very difficult. And I think we need to find new ways and new opportunities to communicate as a board. I love that the school does the survey and makes the community a key member of that survey audience. I said, you know, think outside the box. What else can we do? Can we sit down in the library and say from this time to this time, I'm going to be sitting there and I'm here to answer your questions. What if, what can we do to better support that? So.
Okay, as the main thing in the local area here is the community, the school, the people, like you mentioned, the teachers, the board, everybody likes to work together with the kids, likes to try to make the best of the school. It's not like you mentioned down in Westminster where the teachers would pass by and not do anything when they saw the problem. You know, here they take action right away, and it's just overall everybody seems to work very well. I mean, they have it in the last 23 years that I've been here. It's a very nice community. So it's excellent program that's been established. And the one challenge that I see is the aging buildings. We've built this school here in the last 15 years, and now with the development or the extension of the high school and the tearing down the middle school, that's I believe to be a great challenge. Because how do you stretch your budget with the challenges with the aging schools? Hard to do, and buses and just everything. You could have top-notch equipment. You can't do everything.
I think that the community itself, being so small and being the fact that it's a Commonwealth, really benefits the school system because you've got a small, tight-knit community, tight-knit town going into a nice, small school system. With being small, there's a lot to be said for being small. You can do and manage many problems and a lot of issues in a much easier way than you can a large space. I think that really fits for anything, really, but just so much better. It's just so much easier to handle challenges when you have a smaller school system, especially a small campus. Your campus is so small; it's incredible. So I think that that's all beneficial for the school system as a whole. I think where I would see weaknesses, from my perspective, is two things. And last time I was here, I said the same thing. I'm going to say it again because I still think it's a weakness. Even though you do the surveys, your surveys aren't getting out to everybody. So, and a lot of people, internet's everywhere. I get that, and that's good, but not everybody's on internet. And Littlestown is a very viable community for retirement individuals. So people come here to retire. So they're not gonna come here to get on their internet and take survey. Just saying. So I think there's a group of people out there that you definitely haven't quite hit yet. And they could be very beneficial to your schools. I mean, they could be your volunteers, they could be your substitute teachers, they could be, fill in the blank. Wherever you need, you're having shortages, they could definitely fill in that position. Obviously, depending on who they are. But. So I think it's a group that you haven't quite reached yet. The other thing I would say that that I perceive as a weakness is your budget. Your budget needs to get out into the public more, so that you're going to get more, by getting your budget out, you get more involved with the public, and what you hear from the public, what I hear from the public, is, wow, do you get the school tax this year? Holy cow, every year they've gone up, every year they've gone up. How much is school tax this year? It's a big thing. Because when people don't understand something and they get confused with something, they get frustrated. And especially if it has to do with finance. If it's coming out of their pocket, they're going to get real frustrated real quick. So if you've got, and there's got to be a way to do it, but if you've got your budget out to the public and maybe held some actual public meetings, maybe open up the cafeteria, open up the elementary school, open up the auditorium in the high school, for a few nights during budget season, during the season you guys are going through the budget, to the public, and have them come in and take questions. Just have them bring any questions to you guys and take questions from them. I think that would be very, very helpful. Yeah, it would definitely take more of your time, and unfortunately, that's the downside, but if you could get the message out there and at least show that you're more transparent with your budget. I'm not saying you're not, but in the public's eyes, from the public's perspective, especially the retirement perspective, it's not that it's that transparent. So, I mean, there's definitely areas where you can improve in that. And from my perspective, with that improvement would come more acceptance and also more encouragement and more involvement from the community, I think. I mean, I'd be more involved. I'm back for a second time, maybe let me in.
Mr. Press, what policies would you want to see discussed and acted upon in the future?
Policies, the big agenda would be the policies of the major policy of gender identity and versus naturalized she, he, etc. That would be a major discussion that came up in the school district. I don't believe that's an issue here, but that should be a major discussion on whether teachers should be forced to go one way or the other, and there should be a regulation by the policy that needs to be discussed.
Same question to you.
Okay. So I don't know if many of you have thought about this or not, but now that you guys are doing contracted buses, and I understand that they're supposed to do your routes, I don't know how thoroughly it's been reviewed or not, but there may be a time when contracted buses, or contracted bus companies, may want to redo the routes, or may want to change the routes, so that they can save money, save time, save staff, or save maintenance costs. So I think that that's definitely something, if you guys haven't already looked at that, that's something I would definitely look at. And possibly put that into a policy, because that could very well be a problem in the future.
Anything else? Questions?
So I had the chance to come to some of the curriculum policy meetings. Has taken some time over the last few months as I've been preparing, as I was preparing to run for the school board, to read some of the policies and stuff. There isn't something, I don't really come in here with an agenda for let's go change this policy. My biggest thing is making sure students are getting what they need to learn and to do well. So I don't have a specific thing that I would say needs to be changed. I will say that I was happy to see that there are a number of things that do specific policies around changing things, that when you're going to change them require 2/3 of the board vote. And I am completely 100% behind that, because I think that focusing on some of the things that have become sources of great disagreement in some areas of this country doesn't help anyone. The best thing we can do is teach our students to be thoughtful and kind. And when you dig into some of these policies, you start separating. You start putting differences out there. And I don't think that's helpful.
Do you need a break, Brandon? That's okay? All right.
We don't have like 10 more questions.
We don't have 10